Hello, everybody. Welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I am here today to show off all the goodies that I made throughout the month of September. There wasn't as much scrapbooking this time, but there was a whole bunch of card making, so let's dive in. I will leave myself up there on the screen while we dive into this. A lot of the scrapbooking layouts, I believe, are already up on my channel. So if you want to check out full videos of any of these, you should be able to find that. The first big project I did in the month was to create this travel journal. That's actually upside down. And I have this layout to go along with that journal. So I took my daughter to visit family on the East Coast. We live on the West Coast. And so this was a big adventure for us. We were able to go into New York City and hang out for a day and see a Broadway show. And so we had a little bit of vacation time in there as well. And that was a lot of fun. This travel journal I created with a special Japanese style of notebook. And this is more like a spiral notebook, except for you can open up the binding and be able to take pages in and out of this. So it works great for travel journals. So I won't go through this too much because I did go through this in a lot more detail on a previous video. In fact, I thought I had printed out that photo, but I'm still missing a photo there. But yeah, I took this with me and I completed a part of it on the trip, but I completed a good chunk of it once we got home again. This was a layout I did focusing on some watercolor fun. And while it isn't like the most amazing layout in the world, it does have a lot of little bits and pieces of tips and tricks of watercoloring on there. And so I had fun working with that. This layout is just a simple one about everyday life. And my son used to really like to cook and he kind of shied away from a lot of that. And he's kind of back to it. So I'm celebrating him sharing lovely meals with us and cooking for us. So I wanted to capture that story and that feeling. This one is about a camping trip that we took during September. No, I don't even remember. I think I was actually in August, but I created the layout in September. And this one was based on a sketch and it had two 4x6 photos, but I turned them into little photo collages so I could get a whole bunch more photos on there. And that is the great thing about sketches is that you don't have to think about the starting point. You can just jump in and change up things that you would like to make fit your story. This one I did as part of my Glimmer Hot Foil kit of the month. And so I created some foil tags, both with the positive and the negative images of the foiling, as well as a few embellishments to go with it. And again, another simple layout, but it just captures the feeling of beautiful that I wanted to capture from this photo. So that is the layouts for this month. And if you're not into card making, that's all coming up next. So I appreciate you being here up to this point. I participated in the Crop and Create Delivered card making event again. They do their card making events once in the spring and once in the fall. And since they started doing this in 2020, I've participated, I think, in every card event and in a couple of the scrapbooking, what they call paper crafting events. So I like the cards because I like playing with techniques and products. So that's what I have continued to do. So let's take a look at all of these. I created, let's see, these were from Concord and Ninth, and that class was taught by Kathy Zilski, and I turned a fall color palette into more of a Christmas color palette and just mixed the base cards up that way. Although there was a very cute little acorn die in that set, and I created this little clean and simple, I've got 3 of those acorns popped up, just a little fall card to be able to send out. This class was taught by Honeybee, and the name of the teacher is escaping me right now, but she is very good at doing Copic or alcohol marker coloring, And in fact, we did a lot of altering of die cut pieces to make them work for our scenes. We created the color on the lamps. We created the downcast of the light from the lamps. We created all of the shading and the shadow on the pool table and underneath the pool table. And so she worked with us on a lot of Copic marker alterations of existing die cuts for depth and dimension. So that was a lot of fun. In fact, I'm feeling a Copic marker phase coming back on because of it. So I go through phases with watercolor and Copics and all the things. And that is why my channel is called Crafty Soup, because there's a lot of ingredients that go into that love of crafting. All right, the next class, well, these aren't in any particular order. This was a class by Simon Hurley with Ranger products and Spellbinders dies and stamp. I don't know who makes the stamp set. I think that might be Stampers Anonymous. At any rate, we were playing with mixed media techniques, including stencils and pastes and his sweet little critter stamps, which are beautiful little images for winter time. And I, of course, kept them in the Christmas theme. At one point, we were stamping our stamp off on a piece of scratch paper to get a much lighter version, which is this one where we got much lighter versions of our stamping. And then we got challenged to go ahead and use that piece to finish up a card. And mine worked out okay. I have a couple of branches going sideways because I did stamp sideways at one point, but I think it worked out okay. That was pretty fun to use our scratch paper, and definitely something that's up my alley because I like to not waste anything. This class was from scrapbook.com and it was taught by Laura Graff, and it's just a sweet, completely sweet set of products, including lots of leaves. There was a little deer. I'm not sure, maybe it's inside here. She did some fun folds with us, which I have never done anything like this before. It is a little 3D piece that you can slide on a gatefold card, and I had to trim mine because mine was a little bit tight, but I had never done a card fold like that before, so that was an interesting technique to learn. And there we go, that slides on. Where did our little deer go? Not there, not there. I must have used the bird instead of the deer. At any rate, there were sweet little animal critters and various frames and things like that in this set. So that was just a beautiful set of products to work with. This one was taught by Tailored Expressions. Taylor over there at Tailored Expressions. We were using one of her stencil products that creates 6 scenes on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And then we cut those scenes apart. We used 4 of the scenes to create calendar pages, and we have the products left over to create the next set of pages. Now, her stencils are generally made to ink all of the same color at once. So you'd put the first layer and do all greens and put the second layer and do all pinks and purples or whatever. But I did each little scene different colors so that they would match up with my calendars. And then I can go on to finish that up here pretty soon, I hope. And then we did some more fun folds with her. And this one is just kind of a window with a Z fold inside. And then this one I had never seen before either. It has a double Z fold, I guess you can call it. So that's kind of an interesting little one that will stand up on a desk nicely. And I really like the way Taylor approaches stencils over there. She often gets a lot of results out of one session of stenciling, so that is pretty fun. Let's see, this was Lawn Fawn. Of course, I bet you, if you know anything about Lawn Fawn, you probably recognize these little images. And then again, this class was fun because it was a mixture of ink blending and Copic coloring, although the stamp comes with a coloring stencil to color in your images if you don't want to do any kind of Copic coloring. And that's what I did this time just because it felt I needed the calmness of the coloring because I wasn't up for paying a lot of attention to my Copic technique, which I have to do when I do any Copic coloring. So, and then I knew there was a Copic class coming later in the event, and I was kind of saving that Copic energy for that, which was good because I loved that class, and we'll get to it. All right, so that was Lawn Fawn. Again, just fun, sweet sets, beautiful colors, all of that good stuff. This one was Hero Arts, and Shannon taught for us on that one. And these two cards were versions of the same card technique that she did with us. So we stenciled our flowers and then we inked the background. Now, these flowers were supposed to be kind of stenciled with this type of background, but I really wanted to see what it would look like if we didn't stencil the flowers at all. And so it's a white silhouette and it is gorgeous. I absolutely love this. I am rather thrilled with this one as well because I changed up the flower colors. We were working with the same flower colors on most of the cards, but I changed them up for this one. And then I inked a craft brownie tan color in the background, and I really like that one a lot. And these were basically to the class specs. So you can see we had peachy and yellow flowers going on with this kind of rich burgundy-ish color also. So yeah, the products were just stunning, and this I think might be my favorite card of the entire event. For this next set of cards, this was done by Picket Fence Studio, and there was a third card, but I've actually already sent it out in the mail. I didn't expect that I would need any baby cards, but then I remembered there was somebody I could send a baby card to, so I got that one out in the mail already. But this was a sweet set, lots and lots of dies, and we barely scratched the surface of what's available in the dies. But we definitely created a crib with a little, I don't know, netting draped scene for the crib. But there were definitely little bunnies, a train set. You can see the little clothes hanger. So it was a very sweet set and jam packed with cute dies. I have to figure out what other baby things I can make in the future. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds, right? This class was from Stephanie Barnard at the Stamps of Life. And I will admit that her products and her styles tend not to be my thing because she uses lots of pattern and lots of bright colors, and I need to tone it down some. So this one was pretty close to the original, although I chose calmer patterns than she did for her sample. But I like a lot of the dies she comes up with to make these interactive cards, and that's kind of fun. And I always try to stay open minded about classes that I think are not my thing, because no matter what, I always seem to pick up some kind of tip or trick or idea, even if the overall mood isn't my thing. And then I can always alter things up to make them closer to my style. And so I enjoyed playing with this set of products. All right. This one I did backwards, so it was supposed to open the other way, but I did it totally wrong. So this one it's supposed to stand up well, and then when you open it, it's supposed to have this little dangling banner, but because I did it wrong, it's I can't even get it on camera. It's not quite dangling correctly, but I really liked this little leafy banner idea, and I've dangled things off of string before, but something about the little leaves just kind of hits my happy spot. So that's what I say about staying open-minded to things and ideas and doing the whole class and coming away with stuff you like. So she definitely had a lot more busyness going on with her design, but I toned down the colors. I kept decoration simpler in a lot of cases. So I still found fun ways to make these products work for me. And then this one was a pretty simple one with a window, but then there's a little card inside of a card, and that is a sweet thing. I don't do that very often. it just makes for a more fun card, especially if you're going to hand make a card, make it different. So that that had some good ideas in it. All right, this one was from Spellbinders. I think I need a sip of water. I don't have my water cup in here. This one was from Spellbinders, and there was a lot of opinions about these little dogs, which apparently have a history in Victorian knickknacks. They were based on Queen Victoria's pet dog, and she loved these dogs, so it became very hip to have these knickknacks of these dogs in homes in the Victorian era. And so the product suite came with these dogs and a vase and some flowers. And so that was an interesting class. I'm a cat person, but I'll have to send these to people who are dog people. I really did enjoy a lot of Kim Kestie's ink work and texture work. I really appreciate her card making style for those things. And this color combo has got my heart. I love blue and yellow together. And whenever I see it, it always surprises me again how much I like it. So that was that class. Then we had Gina Kay, and she had a set of Christmas products, and I stuck fairly close to the class, although this little piece here is meant to be a pocket to hold a gift card, but I don't tend to send out gift cards very much, so I just used it as decoration, and I just made them all Merry Christmas cards, and I will send these out for Christmas time. So that was the end of the main 3-day event. We also had a challenge that Megan Andrew had to do. She was given a sampling of products from every single class, and she had to throw them all on one card. So I did the challenge with her, and this is the card I came up with. I admit I didn't finish it quite in the same amount of time as the challenge. I did come back later because I forgot to add the sequins that were part of the challenge. And when I originally made the card, my little mouse was just kind of floating on the red background. So I did come in and give him a little snowy hill to stand on. Otherwise, he was just floating there with his little banners. So there we go. But I think this came out okay for a 30-minute-ish challenge because I was a little behind what she was doing. And then on the Monday after the 3-day event was a bonus day, and the classes were a little bit smaller and a little bit shorter, but still jam-packed. The first class, and I haven't finished these because I have another idea. This one was taught by Megan Andrew, and she actually had 4 cards for us to work on. These were the 2 we did in class, and then there's 2 more to finish. And it was a card for each season of the year. And I am going to turn these into little decor pieces that I will end up hanging on the wall right there. So I know my head is blocking that most of the time, but I will be able to have a little bit of art that I can change out each season and enjoy. So I will finish these up a little bit later and put them in. I will just buy one frame and then I will change them out. This class was from Altenew, and instead of doing layering stencils, which is kind of the norm these days, we went a little old school and had a layering stamp set, and it was a challenge, and I know why we moved to layering stencils, because trying to figure out how to line up all these stamps definitely took a little bit of practice. But the results are lovely, and I enjoyed the products and the class. And I added a little bit of pen stipple work in there to add a little bit more detail that wasn't already there. So lovely again. The next class we did was with LDRS and Angie. She actually had 5 cards for us to finish, but at that point of the day, I was really tired and I was kind of catching up from some other things. And so I didn't play along as much as I could have. And I only did a few things. So she has a suite of products that are semi-homemade. So a lot of the artwork is already done and you can zhuzh them up however you would like. We were adding different fibers, which I pulled out of my stash because that wasn't included in the kit. There were some rub-ons to add little details and things. So that was the idea of her class, is being able to get a lot of cards done quickly, still enjoy a crafting process without having to wear yourself out. So that is a good set of products for people who are newer to crafting or people who are short on time. Then the next class was Peak and Main class, who Libby Hickson now works over at Pink and Main. She was with Hero Arts for a long time, and I loved taking her classes when she was at Hero Arts because she loves to throw in the mixed media, and I'm all about that. And we did some of that today. So we did some watercoloring on this one with mica watercolors and pink. Oh, there we go. We're catching some of the shimmer. Pink and Main's mica watercolors are super shimmery based on what I could see from the video, but I already have my own shimmer paint, so that's what I used. And that was fun to add shimmer in depth. And then this one was again using pre-printed scenes and zhuzhing them up. We had cute critter stamp set to go with it. And she Copic colored hers. I watercolored mine because I already had my watercolors out. So that's what I did. So that was a sweet class, just kind of a quick one on that Monday. Oh, I missed a class. I missed a class, guys. These ones were from the main event. So these were the longer classes. And this was from Trinity Stamps, who was new to the event this time around. And we have this fun shaped coffee die set that creates shaped cards. And everyone was freaking out about the stencil for the lid. So let me see if I can get the camera to pick this up. The stencil for the lids creates this shading to make the lid look way more 3D. And so there we can capture the rim up here. And so the stencil was, I was just impressed at how well it worked. So you can see this one just a little bit better down here, but with the black one, it is really clear. So that is just some oxide inks on a flat die cut, and it looks very 3D, but if I run my finger across it, totally flat. So that was super impressive, and everybody was in awe. And then the lady who taught the class, again, I don't remember her name. I don't follow a lot of Trinity Stamps stuff, but she was a joy to work with, and she had some tech problems, and she was very gracious about the whole thing. And she shared some doodling ideas. So she shared this idea, and then I went ahead and made the cream in my coffee swirl down to the bottom of the cup. So I did enjoy having the opportunity to do a little bit more doodling because she was encouraging that. So that was fun. And a little shaker card. All right, so that is that. We've got one more left. This is from Brutus Monroe, and we have never done a Halloween class in the fall because Catherine, who runs the event, is not a big Halloween fan. She's also worried about, things being too scary or creepy or kind of outside of people's comfort zones. But Brutus Monroe kept it cute and sweet, and we made some fun Halloween cards. We got inky and messy, creating lovely moons and backgrounds. These guys come both in a stamp and in pre-printed artwork. So if you don't want to color your own artwork, you can die cut the pre-printed and the die matches either the stamps or the pre-printed. So we did some of that. We played with some glitter embossing, and let's see if I can pick it up. It's not gonna pick up. Where else do I have it? We played with some glitter embossing powder that was included in the kit, and I ended up using that to do one of my ghosties to give it a more, what is the word I'm looking for? Ephemeral, ethereal. I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for, to give it a more ghostly look. And I enjoyed that. And I kept the color blending very, very soft to make it a little more see-through. And we were doing a little bit of grunge mixed media on here, but I made a oopsie And I went full on with the grunge because I was covering up my oopsie. So that one got a little away from me. But yeah, these were kind of cute. And this is one of the stamped and colored dies. Yeah, these were cute. I just caught the light of the shimmer on this one, but I'm not getting it on the camera. So that was the Crop and Create delivered card making event for fall 2025. Okay, future Misty popping in here. I was editing the video and I realized I didn't include this class, which was from Olo Markers. So Olo is a brand of alcohol markers. It's kind of a competitor to the Copic line. They have a lot of information about why their markers are different, and I'd recommend going to check it out if you want to know more. But this class included 8 Olo markers in one of their sets. They offer markers in sets as well as individually. And so we got a full set of markers, and you can see some of the colors are so light that they're hard to show up on camera. But we also got a sheet, just one sheet of images printed on their marker paper. And I am missing one of the images. I set it aside because I hadn't finished coloring it yet. So I'm not sure where I put it. I was working on this image, which is not on a good paper. This is a freebie on the back of a honeybee kind of thank you card, and you can see how the paper is bleeding. So the paper that you use when you're working with alcohol markers matters quite a bit. I'm going to use this anyway because I'm enjoying the coloring. So yeah, we had a full sheet with this image, one more, and then the swatch image. And we cut it down, we colored our images, and then we finished them off into cards. So I had a very good time using the Olo markers. I found that they're a lot juicier than Copics. And so it took me a while to make sure I had a lighter hand than I do with my Copic markers. But they blended very nicely, especially on this paper. So I'm going to have to experiment with other papers because I'm assuming the paper's a little on the expensive side. I haven't looked at it, so I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. At any rate, I wanted to pop in and show you that, yes, there was one more class because I had mentioned a couple of times being excited about alcohol markers. I said Copic, but alcohol marker coloring. And I'm excited about some of the colors in the Olo color line. So you'll be seeing more of that from me in the future. I did make a couple of other cards recently because as part of my own series called Mystery Box Makes, if you don't know what that is, I have a box of random supplies. I pull 3 things out and then I have to make something with those 3 things. And I had a tech challenge where I created an entire project, this one, and realized I wasn't recording. So I did have to redo that. But this one ended up being a sunflower background die with a ginkgo leaf that I created more Christmas color scheme with and kind of mimicked mistletoe. And then this was a whole thing stamping the greeting with a metal charm decoration. So that was a whole thing, but it didn't record. So I did take 2, and the products from this one were easy peasy. There was nothing hard about making this card, but I had fun coloring up a Christmas ornament and adding some gloss to it to make it shine, and then inking up that background, and it was beautiful. So that was a lot. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. I like to share what I'm doing. I hope you enjoy seeing what I'm doing. And if you don't already sign up for the Crop and Create delivered events, I do highly recommend them. I know they are not cheap. But if you really want to have a good time and you can afford it, I do highly recommend them. They are great fun. And I will switch back over here to say goodbye. I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you get something fun and useful out of seeing all of the things I create each month. And I love cards as much as I love scrapbooking, so I'm hoping you do too. I will be taking probably just a few days break as I've got some college exploration stuff to do with my youngest kid. And we're going to be taking a trip to visit a college campus with her. So I will be back at some point with more videos, and I hope you'll join me then. And until then, I hope you have some artful days.